on this, but what about this quote here from John Armstrong? Nationals unveiling of tax cuts tomorrow seem about as tactful as someone cracking open the champagne at a funeral. Just the coffin has been lowered into the grave. Now, I'm an old school person. I cut clippings out, and I cut that, and it kind of resonated with me.
Well, what I would say is that what you've seen is actually us scaling it back. So you're actually seeing us move. We've moved to a position which is pragmatic, which says, look, at the end of the day, we've got to have an economic plan to take New Zealand forward, and tax cuts will stimulate growth, and that's what New Zealand needs.
Okay. Kevin,
no, it's complete nonsense. This is absolutely not what New Zealand needs. Anyone who is still advocating tax cuts as the answer has either got ideological blinkers on and doesn't understand or consider other alternatives, or else is cynically trying to capitalise on what's greedy or self-interested or desperate in us as voters.
But of course, Labour are giving us tax cuts as well, Kevin.
Yeah, and I think it's unfortunate from both of those major parties, because what we hang on a second, because what we really need is investment in the infrastructure for sustainability in this country. That's the only way to respond to these massive challenges we face.
Okay, Derek, Māori Party, can we afford tax cuts? What are you seeing in your electorate?
Well, the cuts announced by National today, or their projected cuts, don't work for us at all. In fact, we lose money. Our people, for starters, say the average income earner in my rohe, they get about $44,000 a year. They go backwards. And they go backwards. They actually don't get a tax cut. They lose money, and they lose the contribution to KiwiSaver. So from our point of view, we'd sooner see money spent on education, health, and a range of other things.
Yeah, okay. Well, Hamish McDowell, Wanganui, I mean, can we afford tax cuts? I mean, what is your view on this?
Well, look,
I mean, has National trumped you here?
What the National does, it's a historic day for the National Party, because they've been the first ever party to disappoint voters before they even get into government. I mean, I earn about $40,000 a year.
Yeah.
I'm on working for families, and I'm going to have to pay Nikki Kay and her party $5.
Oh.
There it is. I lose money, and they have been telling voters they're going to get tax cuts. Anyone with working for families doesn't get it.
Okay, what about you? What tax cut do you prefer, the Labour one or the National one? Can we afford?
Well, personally, I think we don't need either at this stage. But we'll see how we go.
Okay. What about if I went over here? Can we afford the tax cuts? The national ones?
Of course we can't. No. No way can we afford tax cuts.
What about the Labour's ones?
What about them?
What are you getting?
I'm not getting enough. I'm an old age pensioner.
Okay. Well, hands up. Can we afford Labour's? Can we afford National's tax cuts? Hands up. Yes, we can. Why?
We cut a lot more. We spend far too much on unnecessary bureaucracy.
Research and development. Money
I don't
going
believe
out
in
in research
tax credits.
Okay. Well, there you go. What about you? Can we afford tax cuts?
I don't think we can afford National's tax cuts, but we can afford a moderate program of tax cuts under Labour.
Wow. Jane, very, very good. Now, this is the time for Damien Christie's Real View. He asked 10 people on the streets of Auckland Central I think it is, too by the way, whether they're enrolled to vote.
Have you enrolled to vote yet?
Oh, yes. Yes, yes.
Yes, I have. Have you enrolled to vote yet?
No. Yes.
Yes, I have. No. Yes, I have.
Yes, I have.
Do you have to roll each time, or you just once you're in, you're in? Oh, well, no then.
7 yes, 3 no. Are there surprises there, Kevin?
Yeah, well, I mean, we didn't talk to a lot of younger people there. I'm worried about the number of young people who are not enrolled. And we really need them. The Greens are the party that speaks directly to young people. We need their votes on election day.
Mm-hmm. What about, okay, speaking of young people then, two skateboarders. Anton, are you enrolled to vote?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Possum?
Yes, sir.
Sweet ass. Okay, what about the Māori Party? I mean, there's 200,000 people still to enrol. So you'd be looking at. I mean, this is a bit of a issue for you, isn't it?
It's actually worse than that. We've lost 47,000 people, Māori voters, people who were on the roll last time, not on the roll this time. So that's huge. In my electorate, we've lost.
Where have they gone?
Well, nobody seems to know. Some of them might have just gone around the corner. But what happened was their enrolment packs came back unopened. A lot of them have gone to Australia, of course. I mean, the economic conditions in this country have exported them to Australia, and I find that awful.
Well, the biggest problem, the biggest electorate with this problem here is the Auckland Central electorate, isn't it? Which is surprising. I thought it might have been Manukau, but it's not. It's Auckland Central.
Yep.
So, you know, what do you think of this, Nikki? What can you do?
Well, about 50%, to give you an idea, of under 29s are not enrolled in Auckland Central, so it's a big issue. I'm going around the hostels trying to, even though the cut-off date is today, trying to get people to vote, because they can still vote by a special vote. So
Okay.
that's one of the key messages.
The other big issue, of course, and I want to ask you guys to get your feelings on it anyway, is the law and order, and particularly the non-parole, or literally, I guess, throwing away the key. So, Kevin, there's no mention of victims or rehabilitation, really, in the national.
Yeah, I think the National Party policy that's been announced this week is shameful. It's policy making by bumper sticker, and it's not what we need as a society. It's not what victims need either. Green Party has been Green Party has been the one who's actually stood up for restorative justice. We've led to the victims' rights process in Parliament, and
Voters don't really sort of agree with you, do they? I mean, you listen to the talkbacks, you see the Herald poll, and you can see the death penalty is still very not that
just as National is appealing to the greedy or the desperate in us around their tax cut policy, they are appealing to the fear or desire for revenge in us with their justice policy.
Nikki, you answer back.
The reality is actually, National has released 5 policies. One of them is actually a victims' rights policy, whereby we're putting a levy on people who offend $50 that will go into a victims' compensation scheme, which will help victims. And so what I'd say is we're actually pretty balanced if you look right across our 5 law and order policies.
The link between prison and redemption is pretty tenuous. I mean, you can look at the sort of states, can't you, where they've got Texas, a huge murder rate, the highest prison incarceration in the world. So the link is very tenuous, and it's built on philosophical grounds. I guess what I'm saying.
I guess my point is that our policies include the youth guarantee, which is actually about prevention of getting people into prison. So there is actually a balanced policy across the board. We've got 5 law and order policies
Derek,
released.
what's wrong with locking up these extremely violent offenders? I mean, these 572 people shouldn't be allowed out.
Well, but it's draconian, and it's also very regular. Every 3 years we get a policy like this. Funny, at about election time too. Now, the unusual thing is you've got to look at the people in there. Most of them have drug problems, alcohol problems. Some of them they have terrible education statistics amongst people there. Glue ear, people couldn't even. And these are people. If all we're saying is we're going to lock up the poor and the people who are drunk and on drugs, boy, we're in trouble. The whole bar could get locked up before the end of the night. You know.
That's not a. What's that, Anton?
Lock National and throw away the key. I think everyone does something wrong now and then. I think there's always an underlying issue and a bit of education and things we can find a way around.
That is the whole issue. Like as the Don Post editorial kind of pointed out today, the whole idea of a good society, Nikki, is I guess that you've got a mix of redemption. I mean, sort of rehabilitation, should I say, and incarceration. That's what.
And my point is, we've got 5 law and order policies that balance rehabilitation, balance victims' rights, and balance tougher sentences for those that are our harshest criminals.
Okay.
At the end of the day, we're destroying people's lives.
Okay. Well.